Hey, hey, welcome everybody to the short answer. It's always great to see you. It is wonderful to be with you here today, and it is such a beautiful, beautiful time of the year. There is, depending on where you are on the planet, but right now where I am, there is just this beautiful summer turning into something else kind of feeling in the air. And so it's just this plumpness of and this richness of being. It's like full bloom. And so you might be on the other side of the planet where it's exactly the opposite of that, where everything is definitely tucked in. And, you know, the beauty of it is we get to experience all of these things. And you may even be living in a part of the world where it's kind of paradise all the time. So, you know, just it's always just such a delight to be able to share life, really. It's about life. So we're going to jump into a short answer today about life and about how it is that this cosmic presence presents itself into a life experience, like a personal life experience, and how that all fits together. So we're going to dive into that in just a second, but I have a couple of announcements that I want to make. And I want to remind you that at the bottom of the hour, we are starting the masterclass this evening again, and it is for our gold membership members, and it is a $20 a month thing where you get access to all of the past master classes that we have taught, and you also are able to engage here, ask your questions, and be able to build a class with me based on your questions and really painting a picture about what life is all about. And then every once in a while, I sprinkle in a version of the masterclass that's just a deep, rich conversation that is just for you and just for our members. So you might want to consider that if you're not a part of the gold membership. And I have a couple of announcements to make while you're tossing that around, okay? So I am speaking at something called the Energy Fest, and it is hosted by Donna Eden and David Feinstein of Energy Medicine, and Dawson Church will be there, and I'm doing the opening keynote on the Friday evening, and I'm teaching a workshop the day before. So it's September 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. If you're interested, it's kind of just around the corner, and it's a live in-person event. And I do believe you would also be able to plug in live streaming if you're not able to go to Cleveland, Ohio, in the middle of the beautiful Midwest. So if that is of interest to you, it's going to be all sorts of different presentations around energy medicine. I'm going to be speaking about how it's actually been the story of all of existence on this planet from the beginning of time, and then roll it right into what we can do to masterfully work with those energies as they are intended. We've been guided toward a single vibration that is the most significant way to allow energy medicine to work since the beginning of time, through Greek mythology, through the ancient Hindu concepts and traditions, through science and neurology, and the quantum reality is certainly anchoring this for us. So it's kind of exciting, kind of interesting. If you're interested in joining me there, September 8, 9, 10, and 11, the information will be in the link inside of the comments section here. Okay, so also we have several things that we're doing. A facilitator training where you learn how to teach from the Energy Codes book, how to teach workshops, and how to teach other people. This certified online training is coming September 10th and 11th. This doesn't make sense to me. This looks like I'm going to be in two places at the same time. No, I'm not going to be at that whole conference the way. I'm opening the conference, and then I'm coming back to Indianapolis and teaching a 2-day event. I'm going to be busy. You should join me for one or the other or both of those things. And I am teaching how we taught when we launched the book. We got everybody together in LA, and we taught all of the practices that are in the book in 2 days. And it was phenomenal. It was super exciting to be there together and to be learning it all on top of each other. There's kind of a string of understanding that gets woven through it when we approach it like that. So that's coming the 10th and the 11th of September. It's a Saturday and Sunday. So I'll see you there, perhaps. And then there are lots of weekends after that that give you practice time and an opportunity to get checked off if you want to become a certified facilitator, so that we can be referring people to you in ways where they can learn more about from an in-person, or you could teach it online as well, how to do the practices that are in the Energy Codes book. So something to think about. We also are doing the Kashi meditation retreat in October, and that is October 6th through the 9th. And the event is sold out, but we are turning on live streaming. And so we're starting to allow people to register for the live stream. You'll also be joining us for the pujas that are the fire pujas, where we are working with ancient Eastern traditions in releasing and transcending and activating high brain centers. And I'll be teaching you how to get all of the most out of these thousands of year old techniques that we'll be doing together beforehand. So that's pretty exciting stuff for me and for you. Okay. We are teaching the Energy Codes coaching certification program. That is coming up very soon as well. It's in October, just a month later. It starts October 11th and goes all the way through January 31st. And we meet every 2 weeks. And then you have time to practice things and work with dialogue and that kind of thing. It's teaching you how to take someone truly on a journey of self-discovery and learning how to work with energy in a way that helps facilitate that process, so that people aren't trying to learn how to work through life on the level of story. Rather, they are truly working with life on the raw energy level that is the foundation of all existence. So it is a wonderful, wonderful, deep, rich program. It has, like, in the workbook, it has this combination of so many workbooks, and we've excerpted, some of the most significant and important images and diagrams and explanations and put it all together. So it's a wonderful place for you to put it all together as well. If you are a coach already, you can come and get certified in the energy code version of coaching. And if you've always wanted to be a coach, it's a full-blown certification coaching program. So you will be equipped to manage people in a very responsible manner inside of that program. So I'm very excited about that. There is also our Body Awake Yoga online intensive, if you're wanting to learn the details of the asanas, so that when we do our Body Awake membership classes, you're getting more out of it, as I'm calling out the different things to do and the positions to put the body in. You'll have a full understanding and be able to feel into the details of those geometries, those positions that we put the body in, so that you can literally be supporting the flow of energy through your body in a way that is beyond what you've known before. So it's always a beautiful way to spend 5 days that will change your life. It truly is a wonderful, immersive and transformative experience. So maybe you'll join us for that. It is October 17th through the 21st, if that is of interest to you. And also, please remember, the next monthly healing transmission is Wednesday, August 31st at 8:30 Eastern Time. Tell your friends around the world to come and join us with the thousands of people that are there, holding the space for one another, holding the space for our own super consciousness to drop into the body and start to rise and reveal, and also doing some healing work for the whole of humanity. That is quite beautiful once we get into this coherent space where we're vibrating and resonating, breathing and toning all together. Now, this one large being gets to have an influence on our surroundings. So come and join that experience. It's truly wonderful to feel and experience yourself actually transmitting energies yourself. I mean, that's what it's all about. And then lastly, I wanted to remind you that if you haven't joined us as part of the Gold membership, it might be something that you want to do. There are many benefits that come along with that, so you'll want to check that out. You can click on the link below, or that will be on the comments section here, and have access to that information. Okay, so the shortest answer in the world, the shortest answer is yes. The answer is yes. Now, I could just like sign off right now, and that would be like hysterical, because it would be like sum it up for you that the answer is yes. So here's what I want you to get about that. Whatever you're thinking, the answer is yes. Whatever you're intending, the ultimate answer is yes. Whatever you're wondering about, the ultimate answer is yes. And so the key is, if you're thinking about things on a conscious level or you've thought about things so often on a conscious level that it's seeped into your subconscious, and now you're emitting a particular kind of question out into the world, or a statement out into the world on a subconscious level, which means it's happening all the time. Even when you're not thinking about it, it's emitting and transmitting from you. Whatever it is that you're actually vibrating out, emitting out into this dimension, this world, the universe has no choice but to support the unfoldment of that. Now, this is kind of cool and it's kind of tricky, because what happens is we so often are thinking that we're positive, but we're actually in rejection. We're positive about what we're positive about, and what we're positive and sure about might actually be negative. Like, I've had patients that were, the most positive thing about them is that they were so positively, convinced that they're right about something that was completely constricting their lives, but they're positive about it. And so I don't mean that kind of positive. I mean optimistic. I mean open-ended. I mean available and curious and loving and present and certain that it's a yes if you intend it this way. So this is what we have to get down. We have to get down to the nuts and bolts of this and realize that whatever it is that you're actually believing on a conscious or subconscious level, what you're actually calling in and calling the photons of your life to arrange themselves to demonstrate to you, that is what is happening. And so I want you to get this. The thing that is emanating, the biggest message, the thing that is beaming it out there, the most potent, is your life purpose. Your reason for coming here is the most profound emanation, like the universal bandwidth. It's covering it across the board. It's always present, and it's always emitting a certain vibrational frequency. And this is what science is showing us, that vibrational frequency is causing photons to arrange in a certain pattern. And the pattern that they arrange into is a particular systematic way of aligning that has an influence on electrons of atoms. And those electrons influence the atoms, and the atoms generate the molecules, and the molecules generate the people and the places and the things that you're encountering. So it's so important that we realize that it's all happening from here outward into the world. So if there's something going on in the world that I'm not liking, it is because I'm emanating something. And someone might say, well, I'm thinking positive all the time, but this negative thing keeps happening. So that's why I'm bringing into our conversation in the short answer in this brief little moment that there's something bigger than what your conscious mind is focusing on. And we need to get aligned with figuring out what that is, sensing and feeling into what that is, so that we can align and become fluid with that. And the way that we do it is not through our driving it with our thinking mind, or making a decision or setting a goal and getting everything lined up to make that goal happen. It's about feeling and sensing and perceiving what is rising up from inside of you, inside here. It's not what you generate up here in your creative centers. It's not that. It is what rises here as truths that your mind can grasp and come up with, assigning an image or a detail or a notion about it. So the key is, first and foremost, hone your skills to sense and feel what is rising. Now, here's how that works. Billions of bits of information are coming together, and they are coming toward you. And those bits of information are the rest of your higher self. They really are the rest of you, the quantum self. The quantum self is gathering it into a vessel that is this person, this body. And the information doesn't come to your head. It comes to your whole body, and it reports to the viscera, the gut. It reports ultimately here, but every little cell of your body has an antenna on it that is receiving information. And that information is picked up on these little antennas, and the antennas then report inside the cells, and the cells create chemical impressions, nuances, neurotransmitters. They create biochemicals that allow you to operate in a certain way based upon what you're accepting, what you're receiving. And so it is imperative that we learn to accept and receive on every level in our lives. Just accept and receive. And that doesn't mean resist and reject and argue and debate. It means accept and receive. It means speak into life about what you want and accept and receive what comes. Because when we do that and we keep doing it and we keep doing it, we start to refine what happens inside this system here. That the energy centers begin to throw off energies and incorporate them together, and it generates an overall rising impression about your own evolution. So the cool thing about that is your purpose, your reason for coming, is what will eventually make its way to your awareness. And it won't be a sentence that says, oh, by the way, I know you've been waiting and wondering what your life purpose is. Here it is on the ticker tape. It doesn't roll out that way. It gets discovered on your journey, on your process of engaging whatever it is that is rising and you feel drawn to do, you feel compelled to say, you feel interested in learning more about this or speaking into it. And along the way, what happens is you start to formulate and develop an amazing presence that is the answer to your life purpose. So if you came here to refine your ability to accept your magnificence, that is what will happen. If you came here, which is the bottom line for everyone, if you came here to do that through courage, it will happen that way. If you came here to do that through forgiveness, some of it will happen that way. If you came here to do that through just letting it rip and revealing yourself, some of it will happen that way. So here's what I want you to get. No matter what it is that you are focusing on, the universe, this universal mind has no choice but to begin emitting the vibrational frequency of that at the highest level. So your life purpose is the highest level of focus that you have. You came here for a reason. And if you don't know what it is, that's okay. What you do have to learn is how to sense and feel what is right and true for you, and to feel into what you're going to allow to come through you, or if you're going to marginalize it or shut it down again. And so here's how it works. What we think about generates an internal environment. That's what those little antennas pick up on. Our thoughts, conscious, superconscious, subconscious, as well. And those little antennas report it to the cell creates chemistries. Those chemistries rise to our awareness. Those chemistries start to generate an internal environment that is now consistent. That environment determines what the little telomeres on the DNA are going to do, whether they're going to activate and express or whether they're going to dim and shut down because they're not needed and something else is needed. So we turn on and turn off how our genes are going to express in the world. In experimentation, science has shown us that our DNA has an effect on the photons of the outer world. By creating a vacuum, we can place a strand of DNA inside the vacuum, and some randomly placed photons will align in accordance with the DNA molecule. We can remove the DNA strand and the photons will remain fixed in that position until some great creative force like another DNA strand comes along, and then they rearrange to it. And so what is happening in your personal environment is that you are generating photon arrangement in accordance with what you are constantly generating and regenerating and regenerating. So if you're walking around with a grudge, you are constantly generating a reality, a photon arrangement in your outer world that is reflecting that grudge back to you. It's reflecting angsty situations and circumstances that rise up into frustration or anger or hurt on a regular basis, all as a vibrational match to the grudge that's constantly inside of this system. We have to let go. we just gotta let go, like done. Okay, we have to release whatever it is that we've been holding on to. And here's a clue that might help you. To release it is easier when we know that it was only here serving our realization, our awakening to the tendency that we have in that direction, after which the story doesn't serve us anymore. So letting it go, actually, we let it go with gratitude. If you let it go with gratitude, it's easier for the subconscious to get on board with letting it go. It's easier for the subconscious to then allow for the service to have been done and for a new arrangement of this energetic environment that we're creating inside the system to occur. And when that environment changes, then the little antennas pick up on a different message and they generate different chemistries, and those chemistries start to turn on and turn off the telomeres of the DNA. And then we have a different emanation, a different radiance about us. And it starts to generate a different pathway for us in the outer world. All the while, your mind might be running and doubting and questioning and angsting. But if there's an overall tendency, and this is key, if there's an overall understanding that underneath all that happening with the mind is this evolutionary option, this evolutionary opportunity for you to realize and recognize and love compassionately into the negative thinking, the angsting, the worrying, the paranoia, the story writing that we do with compassion, to love into the parts of our mind that are doing that. When we do that, the compassion overrides all of it. And love being this universal tool, which is the greatest one that you can ever master, the greatest vibration you can ever dial into, which I mentioned earlier, there is one, and that is it. That as we begin to love into the circumstances that are refining us, that are teaching us, we begin to realize there is a massive amount of support that is constantly cycling through my life. It's constantly revealing right through me and onto the movie screen out in front of me. And when we begin to put those pieces together, we become masterful in this life. So here's what I want you to get. Whatever it is that's inside of you, the universe has, this manifest world has no choice but to align itself in accordance with what you are emanating and radiating. It has no choice but to make it so. So when you're dreaming of something, or you're wishing something, or you're angry about it, you're holding a grudge, or whatever the case may be, all of that cumulative energy is creating the reality that you're living in. And so if you find yourself in a joyful, creative, celebratory state, know that you're letting full steam ahead happen what is truly the end game in your life purpose. And if you're having days or weeks that are filled or riddled with anxiety or frustration or angst, if you will allow the love underneath that to be remembered, you will see that these experiences that you are having on the surface of life are part of an opportunity for you to compassionately love into the parts of your mind and the parts of your whole being that are splatted off, split off, and caught in some little whirlpool on their own. And by loving into them, you begin to welcome them back into the fold. And so we have to learn how to get in touch with that deep truth underneath. Every course that I teach, everything that I'm ever bringing to you is an invitation to learn exactly how to do that. So I do hope that you'll join me in some course along the way, because it truly is life-changing when we begin to see the mystery is not so mysterious, that we can put these pieces together, and we were meant to, we were supposed to. It truly is our ultimate life purpose, is to awaken to our magnificence. And if we know that, then we see that everything that we are generating in the world around us from the beginning of our arrival here, we've been generating the photons in accordance with how we're going to walk through this puzzle and unpack it. It might seem ominous to you, but it isn't. It's one circuit building breath at a time. So hop into the energy codes at some level, at some point. You can enter at any of the things that I've just mentioned to you and learn how to do this beautiful, beautiful work and change your lives as well. So I got to go so that we can come back and plug into the masterclass. So I hope you've enjoyed the short answer. The answer is yes. So whatever's coming off of you is what the universe is bringing back and reflecting back to you for your life experience. So we're going to dive into a deeper explanation about that and anything else that anybody wants to talk about inside the masterclass coming at the bottom of the hour. So plug in to that and I'll see you in just a few minutes. Okay. Bye for now.